Let's make a plate to go with your favorite meal. Now, you might remember from a previous video that we borrowed a form. We used a bowl as a simple mold to make pinch pots and double pinch pots, and the result was consistency. Pressing clay into a mold gives you exactly the shape that you want. If you want to make a plate, why not start with a plate? Plates come in all different sizes, shapes, relative depths. Pick one that you like, and if you like the shape, then borrow the shape. This project again begins with some cling wrap. Put cling wrap over top of the plate to separate the clay from the plate itself. Keep the cling wrap loose in the plate so you can press clay into the mold of the plate itself. Flip the plate over and use some tape to secure the cling wrap. You'll have something approximately the size of what you want, but to refine it, you're going to have to roll the slab out. You can use the sticks and a rolling pin or a glass or a broom handle, anything that you have at home. If you want a thick plate, use the equivalent of 2 sticks. If you want a thinner plate, then I would suggest using just 1. Make sure your plate is at least 1 centimeter thick, because if your plate is too thin, there's a chance it'll break. Continue to roll and size until you have the perfect slab. And then lay the clay in the plate and press gently. You haven't trimmed the plate yet. All you want to do is begin to adopt the shape. Find a knife to trim the edges, and then use a sponge and a little bit of water to refine the edges so that they are smooth. Refine the plate's edges, round them, make them perfect, trim any burrs or any rough edges away. You'll be able to refine the plate at this point to something that you really want. Continue to press, continue to shape. Allow the clay to adopt the form. Remember those stamps that we made in class? Well, if you have your stamp handy, you can add texture to your plate. You can press a single stamp in, or you can press anything that you have. The rest of the clay can be wedged and set aside. Later on, we're going to put a foot on the plate, a little bit of a profile along the bottom to raise the plate up off the table. Wedging up your clay, and then begin to think about storing your plate. We want it to toughen up just a little bit. We have these wonderful plastic bags that are actually PPE bags, and they're just the right size for storing a plate. We want the plate to be a little bit tough on one side so that we can flip it over without the mold and build on the opposite side. So leather hard is what we're looking for. Now here's our plate. It was in a bag for a day and it's been stiffening up for a day or so. You might want to put a foot on it. A foot is a circular profile on the bottom of the plate that elevates the plate off the table, makes it look unstuck to the table. Let's flip this over and pull the plate away. You can see we have something of a profile here. We're going to add to that by putting a circle within the circle. The lid of my slip container is just about the right size, so I'm going to trace this onto the bottom of the plate, just marking the plate for the location of the circle that I'd like to put on there. I'm going to do some scoring. We're going to scratch within that circle. Now a hand extruder will make a very nice bead for around the edge, but I realize that you don't have a hand extruder at home. If you did, you would build your circular wall around the bottom like this. The foot could be added and blended like this, but you don't have an extruder at home, so no fair that I have one. You might roll out a slab of clay and take a knife and just cut thin strips, because it's essentially the same thing. You just want something that's going to form a short wall in a circular shape around the bottom of your plate. Something just to elevate it. A couple thin strips of clay will do the same thing around the base of our plate. With our strips cut and scored and our circle scored, we'll just add some slip to keep everything together, and we'll be able to blend these pieces smoothly together, forming a very strong bond. Just adding and shaping a little bit of clay to the foot like this to blend those pieces together. But the slip is working really well, and the clay has dried just enough that the bond is very, very strong already. Find you'll have a foot on your plate. You can smooth and take a sponge to any areas that are a little bit rough. Blend it in. You'll have a really nice plate. And this is a great way to begin the My Favorite Meal project. Here's a question that always comes up. You can keep the plate, placing the food on the plate and not joining it on. No, your food does not need to be stuck to the plate. Enjoy the project, and we'll talk again soon.